Hello guys, today I will be explaining a new anime series called Am I Actually the Strongest? The story begins with Haruto, who endured relentless bullying throughout junior high, became withdrawn, confining himself to his room well into adulthood. Hope for the future dwindled, and he aimlessly wandered through life. One ordinary day, a mysterious light emerged from the device, transporting him to a whole new dimension. There, he was greeted by a goddess who celebrated his selection for reincarnation, a decision made after careful consideration. Perplexed at first, Haruto soon realized that it meant he had passed away in his room when he witnessed the radiant light. The goddess revealed that the new world he would be sent to revolved around magical prowess, and she graciously granted him immensely powerful skills to aid him in his new life. Encouraging him to embrace this opportunity fully, she departed. However, Haruto had different aspirations. He yearned for a peaceful existence, utilizing his overwhelming abilities to enjoy a life of solitude. Firm in his resolve, he implored the goddess to reincarnate him according to his desires. As the light flashed, he descended and regained consciousness in the body of a newborn baby. Though he retained his memories from his previous life, he grumbled at the prospect of starting from infancy. Surrounded by joyful faces, the news of his birth reached the king, filling him with elation as he recognized the royal insignia on Haruto's left chest. Contented, Haruto realized he had been born into a life of nobility. Soon after, a sorceress arrived with an orb to assess his magical aptitude. The king anticipated his son to possess extraordinary mana, considering his lineage and the heroism of his parents. Their expectations were high, assuming he would be at least level 40 or even 50. To their surprise, Haruto's magical prowess measured a mere level 2, devoid of any elemental affinities. He could only wield barrier magic. Astounded and disappointed, the king and queen could not believe that their esteemed bloodline had seemingly produced such an underwhelming child. Fearing the repercussions of such a revelation among their subjects, they swiftly decided to fabricate Haruto's demise during childbirth. Shocked by his parents' simultaneous pronouncement, Haruto feared a fate reminiscent of his past life awaited him, surrounded by despicable individuals. Even the sorceress found the king and queen's solution extreme, but her objections were silenced by the king's authority. He commanded that the child be disposed of in a distant forest, far away from the kingdom's borders. Unbeknownst to them, the frustrated goddess watched, dismayed by the failure of others to recognize Haruto's true potential. Restricted by a measurement device that only recognized double-digit levels, she also forgot to grant him an elemental affinity. She confided in her colleague that she had actually set Haruto's level to an astounding 1002, though her excessive display of overpowering abilities drew both praise and criticism. Left in a baby basket deep within the forest, Haruto struggled to move, hindered by his tender age. Determined, he embarked on teaching himself the ways of barrier magic. To his surprise, he found it remarkably easy to manipulate. With a sense of playfulness, he conjured a cube reminiscent of tales from the legendary realm of Kakashi. Delighted by its versatility and the minimal mana it consumed, he levitated himself, relishing the newfound power. However, his delight was short-lived as a magical wolf materialized behind him, launching a sudden attack. Haruto's barrier shielded him, its resilience surprising him. In response, he conjured multiple smaller barriers, hurling them at the ferocious creature, but they proved ineffective. Undeterred, he encased the surrounding trees in barriers, toppling them upon his assailant, inflicting some damage. Yet, to his dismay, the creature persisted, refusing to succumb to his onslaught. Haruto, filled with determination, grasps a chunk of earth and hurls it towards the magical beast. Before the land mass strikes, to his surprise, the creature speaks, revealing itself to be a female. Both Haruto and the beast calm down as it confesses its initial plan to devour him and restore its depleted mana. Astounded by Haruto's strength, unable to respond verbally, he creates a barrier that translates his thoughts into audible sound. Introducing himself as Haruto, he recounts the events leading to his current situation. The magical beast, sensing an extraordinary level of mana emanating from Haruto, surpassing human limits, hastily concludes that he must be the reincarnated Demon King. In an attempt to sound more impressive, Haruto decides to embrace the title of Demon King, further confirming her suspicions. Amused by the beast's gullibility, he finds her submissive behavior excessive and promises not to harm her if she refrains from attacking him. Startled by his unexpected kindness, the creature is deeply moved and pledges her loyalty. Haruto names her Flay, bidding her farewell, but she insists on addressing him as Lord. Flay is delighted by her new name, cementing a pact where Haruto becomes her master. Taken aback by this development, Haruto struggles to respond and collapses due to hunger caused by a lack of breast milk. Alerting Flay of his predicament, she transforms into a human form, hoping to assist her newfound master. However, their interaction is interrupted by the sound of someone approaching. Using a barrier to maintain privacy, Haruto instructs Flay to inquire about the intruder's identity. A man named Gold steps forward, expressing his intention to claim Haruto. Instantly refusing without hearing his full explanation, Flay questions his authority. Gold wonders on what grounds she denies his request, prompting Flay to assert that the baby now belongs to her as her master. Perplexed, Haruto is unable to recall consenting to such an arrangement. Gold reveals that the child is actually a relative of his, and he has returned to take custody after the circumstances that led to Haruto's abandonment have played out. Flay, confused by the family's sudden interest in a child they previously discarded, questions their motives. Gold shares a heartbreaking tale of how he and his wife lost their own baby in the past, believing that every child who survives the perilous journey of birth deserves a chance to live. This tragic narrative brings Flay to tears. Gold finds Flay's outpouring of emotion unusual but recognizes her care for Haruto. He proposes that if he takes in the child, Flay can serve as his attendant. Touched by the poignant story, Flay agrees to the terms and conditions to solidify the agreement. As a gesture of finality, Gold destroys the baby's basket, creating the illusion that it was ravaged by wild animals. 9 years have passed since that fateful night, and a more grown-up Haruto sits down with his new family for breakfast. He greets everyone, revealing that his original plan was to leave as soon as he no longer needed milk, but his adopted family has been so kind to him that he decided to stay. However, his younger sister, Char, still seems distant, and it makes him uneasy. Flay, playing her role as Haruto's assistant flawlessly over the years, notices this too. Char is surprisingly open with Flay, their magical beast companion, as she helps serve breakfast. The little girl eagerly wants to play with Flay afterward, but Haruto instructs Flay to prioritize spending time with his sister. He watches them play outside and his mother joins him. She comments that Char's distant behavior may be because she doesn't know how to act around boys. Haruto wonders if she can somehow sense that he is older in his mind. His mother comforts him and suggests that he can win Char's heart by showing that he is a reliable older brother. As the heir to their estate, she encourages him to spend more time outside instead of isolating himself in his room. His mother assures him that she will do everything she can to help them bond. Haruto retreats to his room, lying in bed while contemplating leaving. Meanwhile, a clone of himself stands nearby. He considers the logistics of escaping, but remembers that Flay would have to accompany him, which might further worsen Char's feelings towards him. He knows the Fenrir won't accept staying behind while he leaves. Haruto envisions Char's reaction, but also realizes that staying would burden him with unwanted responsibilities. Looking at his clone, he explains that it has been a 9-year project, a replica he created for his eventual escape. He has studied barrier magic extensively to make this realistic robot copy, but it still lacks the ability to talk or move. He understands that if he wants to leave without causing sadness, he must also create a clone of Flay, which poses an entirely new challenge. His thoughts are interrupted when Gold knocks on his door, requesting his presence. Haruto knows this interaction won't end well for him. Gold leads him to the compound, informing him that he will be taught how to use a sword. Haruto's grumpy expression clearly shows his lack of interest. Gold points out that Haruto has an unusually low mana level, emphasizing the need for him to develop other skills. His adopted father asks if he has any interest in other fields. Haruto is on the verge of revealing his love for staying indoors, but he stops himself and instead expresses his interest in studying ancient magic. This surprises Gold, who realizes that the young boy sees the potential in the lost magic of the mythical era. However, Gold insists that Haruto also needs to practice swordsmanship since he might have a hidden talent for it. Despite Haruto's reluctance, he is given a wooden sword for training. Observing Gold's aura, Haruto acknowledges that his father is a seasoned warrior known as the Earth-Shattering Warhammer. He knows he wouldn't stand a chance in a direct confrontation and doesn't want to get hurt. To compensate for his perceived physical weakness, Haruto erects a barrier, demonstrating his alleged poor physical ability. He then leaps towards his father with an attack, but the senior easily dodges it. The impact shatters Haruto's wooden sword and creates a crater, leaving Gold in shock. Realizing there might be more to Haruto than meets the eye, Gold decides to get a little more serious to test his suspicions. He charges at Haruto with an attack, but the young boy stylishly evades it. Gold is astonished because it should be impossible for someone under level 30 to dodge like that. Haruto himself feels something strange within him. He remembers using a mana measuring orb that showed hundreds of mana, leading him to believe he might be at that level. However, the orb's reading remained red, disappointing him. Little does he know, his level is actually over 1,000, far surpassing the recorded levels of any human. Gold suspects that Haruto might have an innate awakening, but he keeps this theory to himself. Instead, he suggests they continue training to mold Haruto into an elite swordsman. Meanwhile, Char watches their first lesson with interest. Later that night, as Char sleeps on her mother's legs, her parents discuss the possibility that Haruto might be a descendant of a demon from the secret royal family records. While rare, children born from such unions may exhibit demonic traits. They believe this might also explain Flay's protective behavior towards Haruto. The mother reveals that the royal insignia possesses mysterious powers that they have yet to fully understand. Regardless of the truth, Gold promises his wife that they will protect Haruto and provide him with a happy life. Char overhears this conversation, intrigued by the mysteries surrounding her brother being a demon. In his room, Haruto ponders why his father seems preoccupied lately. Although mildly curious, he appreciates the break from sword lessons. Suddenly, he hears commotion as the household members rush to gather bandages and antiseptics. Perplexed, Haruto uses his barrier magic to observe the estate. To his dismay, he witnesses his father's soldiers wounded and in pain, while maids work hard to heal them. Determined to uncover the truth, Haruto approaches his father, who looks crestfallen sitting on crates. With trepidation, he asks about what happened. Gold, burdened with guilt, confesses to hiding recent thefts in their province. When they learned of the criminals' hideout, they planned to confront them but were ambushed. Despite careful preparation, they suffered a humiliating defeat. Gold acknowledges the distressing sight for someone as young as Haruto and offers him the choice to distance himself from this harsh reality. Filled with silent anger, Haruto clenches his fist and retreats without saying a word. Flay, sensing his aura, stops commenting on the soldier's weakness and follows him. Along the way, Haruto uses his restorative powers to heal the wounded soldiers, transforming their pain into joyful relief. His father watches in astonishment. Exhausted, Haruto falls into a deep sleep while Flay stands guard outside his room. When Haruto wakes up, he asks Flay if she had been standing there the whole time, but she remains silent. Reminded of his earlier order for her to be quiet, he apologizes for losing his temper and revokes the command. Flay also apologizes for any offense caused. Strengthened by their unbreakable bond, they climb to the top of the castle, where Haruto surveys the area for clues about the attackers who targeted his father. After a brief search, he discovers their stronghold in an abandoned fortress. He notices that some of the assailants resemble ordinary soldiers, suggesting a spy in their midst. Determined to eliminate them all, Haruto sets off with Flay, soaring through the night sky. Unbeknownst to them, Haruto's younger sister observes from her room window. At the fort, the victorious men celebrate their triumph, while the leaders gather to discuss their satisfaction in seeing Gold flustered during the attack. They enjoy their success and eagerly await the moment when they can return home after completing their ultimate goal. Suddenly, Haruto interrupts their celebration, having overheard their conversation. He uses his barrier magic to immobilize them and pushes back one person who challenges him. Coldly, he demands honest answers, warning of serious consequences for lying. A brief interrogation reveals that the infiltrators are soldiers from a neighboring empire disguised as thieves. Their intention was to cause chaos in the kingdom. Flay points out the absence of border troops, and the enemy admits there is an unknown accomplice, but they have limited knowledge beyond that. Haruto reflects on the situation, realizing that this mysterious individual has more influence than his father. It must have taken significant power to plan such a scheme. He begins to suspect that someone within the kingdom is plotting against Gold's life. Despite the pleas for mercy and promises to end their operation, Haruto remains determined. He thanks them for their cooperation, briefly putting a smile on their faces. However, their expressions quickly turn to shock as Haruto orders Flay to burn down the entire fort. Haruto shows no mercy to those who attacked his father, and Flay carries out the order without hesitation. They leave the fort in flames, accompanied by the anguished cries of the enemy. Although unfamiliar with the political complexities and conflicts between nations, Haruto refuses to show leniency to their adversaries. His immediate plan is to send an anonymous letter to his father, detailing what happened. Gold receives the letter as expected, and his men confirm that the thieves have been eliminated from the fort. The exact number of escapees is unknown, but the captured bandits verify the destruction of the fort. Gold questions how such a breach could occur at the border and orders a thorough investigation. Recalling his encounter with the border division, he suspects that these were not ordinary thieves but agents of the empire. His previous concerns seem to be coming true. Meanwhile, Char, who has been with her father all along, becomes curious about who dealt with the enemy forces. Based on their efficiency, lack of mercy, and control over fire, she deduces that Flay must be responsible. Gold acknowledges Flay's strength surpasses his own and explains that she often ventures into the province to establish dominance over the monsters there. It is possible that she attacked the fort during one of her expeditions. This revelation sparks Char's curiosity, and she quickly leaves her father's office to find out the identity of her older brother. The girl approaches Flay and inquires if there are two Harutos. Flay is taken aback by her statement and wonders if the girl might have hit her head. Confessing what she witnessed the previous night, the girl describes seeing someone who resembled Haruto flying, despite knowing he shouldn't possess enough mana for such a feat. Curiosity piqued, she checked his room and discovered him sound asleep, devoid of his usual intimidating aura. The girl contemplates the significance of these observations. Surprised by her ability to sense Haruto's power, Flay explains that he possesses extraordinary mana, a blessing bestowed upon him since infancy. His mana surpasses human limits to such an extent that even a demon like Flay cannot hope to match him. Sensing that Flay knows Haruto's true identity, the girl deduces that he might be the Demon Lord. Flay, however, remains tight-lipped, unable to reveal his true nature. Later, Flay reports the encounter to Haruto, who finds it inconvenient that his little sister stumbled upon their secret from the previous night. To maintain surveillance, Haruto sets up barriers that will alert him based on the girl's location and activities. Flay expresses curiosity about Haruto's clone, but he refuses to disclose any information. That night, Haruto pretends to sleepwalk and catches his sister following him, though she manages to escape before he can confront her. Over the following days, he notices her spying on him during his daily routines. The spying comes to an end when Gold announces that his wife and daughter will be representing him on a trip. Given the current circumstances, Haruto's attention is required at the border. Haruto suggests that Flay accompany him, but his mother reveals that she hasn't seen Flay and assumed Haruto had sent her on an errand. Haruto recalls instructing Flay to intimidate the monsters in the area to prevent attacks on towns and villages. He glances at his sister, who stares at him with a glare that slightly hurts his feelings. Eventually, his mother and sister depart for their trip. However, one evening, Haruto is awoken from his nap by the alarm he placed on his sister. He checks and discovers that their carriage is under attack by Imperial soldiers. His mother attempts to flee, but the soldiers unleash spells. Haruto's mother, a capable magic user, manages to block most of the attacks, but one slips through and injures her leg. Utilizing his surveillance barrier, Haruto guides his sister to safety. She relays the information to her mother, who realizes someone is aiding them. They leap off a cliff, and the mother employs her magic to soften their landing. Seeking refuge in a cave adorned with luminous moss, the mother departs to locate the person who provided guidance, referring to them as a hero of justice who punishes evildoers. As she exits the cave, she realizes the entrance has been concealed by illusory magic. The mother marvels at the advanced nature of the magic but is interrupted when the soldiers discover her. Realizing her importance, she turns the knife on herself, only for it to shatter just as she is about to end her life, but Haruto breaks the knife and swiftly flies to where his mother is. He unleashes a powerful barrier attack, driving the soldiers away. Returning to the safety of the cave with his unconscious mother, he reassures Char that they are safe, trying to hide his true identity. However, his sister easily recognizes him by his energy. Summoning her courage, she addresses him as brother for the first time. Perplexed by her question about being a hero of justice, Haruto decides to play along, just as he did with Flay when she called him the Demon King. Char is delighted to learn that he uses his powers to fight against wrongdoers, just like their mother had described. Haruto continues to agree with her, and as she approaches him, she admits that she misjudged him all this time. Haruto pleads with her to keep his true identity a secret, as it must remain unknown to everyone, including their parents. Understanding the seriousness of the situation, Char agrees, realizing that she will have to lie to their mother and father. This realization leaves Haruto with a slight sense of guilt. Focusing on the immediate issue, he instructs his sister to stay inside while he deals with the attackers outside. After resolving the situation, Haruto quickly returns to the castle. He later sits with his father, receiving news that his mother and sister have escaped the attackers and are now safe under Flay's protection. The reports mention that a few bodyguards were injured but miraculously healed. Gold expresses his gratitude and desire to thank the person who saved them, but he also understands their wish to remain anonymous. Seeking Haruto's opinion, he believes that this person will continue supporting them as long as they follow the right path. Gold reveals that Char referred to this mysterious savior as the hero of justice. They eagerly await the day when they can meet this person face to face. Haruto remarks that even if more Imperial soldiers pretend to be thieves and attack, the hero will come to their aid. Gold is surprised by this comment, as it suggests knowledge not publicly known. Haruto manages to explain it as speculation, but it piques Gold's curiosity about other aspects of the recent attack, indicating that these new soldiers infiltrated before the borders were tightened. Gold suspects that the cunning vixen may be involved. Haruto takes note of the name. Their conversation is interrupted by Char bursting in, announcing their safe arrival with joy. Gold rushes to embrace them, relieved to see them unharmed. Everyone is taken aback by Char's newfound warmth towards Haruto, who is slightly caught off guard by her embrace. Flay, feeling a hint of jealousy, requests that Char release him. The story continues. Charlotte happily enters Haruto's room and asks him to play with her. Yuto, ever the responsible one, reminds her to knock before entering next time, and Charlotte playfully agrees, her mischievous eyes twinkling with delight. Haruto finds himself charmed by Charlotte's constant presence, though he's unsure how to handle her affectionate clinginess. Despite his initial uncertainty, he discovers a sense of comfort in her company, as if she's a soothing presence in his life. During their playful banter, Charlotte discovers an intriguing book on the shelf titled Surveillance Magic. Curiosity sparks within her, wondering if it holds the secrets of ancient magic. Haruto decides to play along and impress her, pretending it does, recalling how he once boasted to his father about studying ancient magic. Intrigued by the idea, they venture to the mansion's library, a hidden treasure trove that Haruto had never known existed. To his surprise, Charlotte eagerly takes the lead, gathering books related to ancient magic and eagerly handing them to Haruto. As they delve into the ancient texts, Haruto learns that ancient magic defies elemental categorization, sparking thoughts that it might be connected to his own barrier magic. A young bookworm, Charlotte impresses Haruto with her comprehension of the complex material, confessing that Flay and her mother helped her understand it. Playfully, she insists Haruto read the books to her while she sits on his lap, reminiscent of how her family shared stories with her. Their journey doesn't stop there, as they drift into a conversation about anime. Haruto fondly reminisces about the captivating shows he enjoyed in his previous world, trying to explain the concept to Charlotte's eager ears. Moved by her curiosity and wanting to share the joy, Haruto decides to introduce her to the mesmerizing world of anime. With determination, he manages to set up an internet connection, keeping his streaming subscription active. Charlotte's curiosity leads her to pick an anime with a cute girl, and she's fascinated to see the pictures move, even if she doesn't understand the words. Eager to grasp the anime's meaning, she asks Haruto to teach her Japanese. Haruto knows it won't be easy, but within just 2 hours, Charlotte amazes him by learning the basics so quickly. After 2 weeks, Charlotte excitedly joins Haruto to watch an anime called Tamazim, enjoying the brave heroes protecting others from zombies. Haruto wonders if she truly gets the concept of trains and cars in the anime, but Charlotte happily embraces the adventure, immersing herself in the animated world. In this short time, Charlotte becomes an anime fan, even mastering Japanese fluently. Haruto starts to wonder if she's a genius. As her big brother, he understands the importance of setting boundaries. When Charlotte tries to watch the next episode, Haruto gently reminds her that she can only watch 3 hours of anime daily for her well-being. Charlotte insists she's alright, but Haruto remains firm, not allowing her to watch more anime. Later, during dinner, Gold notices that Charlotte has been spending a lot of time with Haruto and wonders what they're up to. Charlotte shares that they're studying ancient magic, and natally appraises her for helping her big brother. After dinner, Charlotte follows Haruto around, but he tells her she can't watch anime with him this time. Instead, he advises her to take a bath and go to bed early. In the bath, Haruto is surprised to find Charlotte joining him, mentioning that without anime, bathing and sleeping are all she can do. Haruto playfully thinks she's becoming like an otaku. Charlotte had told her mother she would be bathing with her brother today, and while Haruto doesn't see anything wrong with it, he feels a bit uneasy. Charlotte notices the insignia on Haruto's chest and wonders if it's the mark of a hero of justice. Haruto plays along, asking her to keep it a secret, as he needs to hide his identity. After their chat, Haruto heads to bed in his room and is surprised to find Charlotte peacefully sleeping beside him. Little do they know, their mother observes them from afar, feeling fulfilled that their close bond is coming true. Meanwhile, Gold prepares to confront some thieves, and Natalia expresses her worry for his safety. Charlotte anxiously hopes for her father's safe return, but Haruto assures her that these thieves are just commoners, so her father should be okay. Curious, Charlotte asks why people become thieves, and Haruto explains that her father mentioned power struggles in the kingdom, pushing some to turn to theft. Wondering if there's a way for everyone to be happy, Haruto admits it's not simple. But Charlotte firmly believes her brother's unique powers can bring happiness. With her eyes gleaming, she urges Haruto to join the fight, her enthusiasm unwavering. Touched by her determination, Haruto can't refuse her heartfelt plea. Together, they embark on a journey filled with love, courage, and hope to make their world a better place. Charlotte's excitement bubbles over as she suggests that Haruto should use his barrier magic to transform. Intrigued by her enthusiasm, Haruto agrees and undergoes a magical transformation, leaving Charlotte in awe. She eagerly pleads to join him, but Haruto thinks it's safer for her to watch from a distance using his surveillance system. With the help of his surveillance magic, Haruto swiftly tracks down a group of thieves and captures them with his barrier. Although he considers leaving them trapped, he knows Charlotte would enjoy witnessing some action, so he decides to confront the thieves and easily defeats them. Just then, Charlotte's father, Gold, arrives on the scene and questions the hero's identity. Since Haruto hasn't settled on a name yet, he playfully keeps it pending. Gold wonders if the hero is the one who saved his wife and daughter, but Haruto admits he can't remember. Curious about the hero's intentions, Gold inquires about his goal, and with determination, Haruto declares his mission is to bring justice to their world. From that moment on, he takes on the name of the Black Knight, becoming a legendary hero who embarks on numerous thrilling battles. Later, Haruto successfully creates a clone of himself after months of research. Charlotte is amazed to see 2 identical Harutos and wonders which one is hers, but both of them jokingly claim neither belongs to her. When someone calls for Haruto's assistance, he playfully asks his clone to take his place, but the clone refuses, adding a touch of humor to their magical journey. The story then shifts to Gold warmly welcoming Prince Leia and Princess Marion of the kingdom, who have come to visit his domain. Haruto realizes that they are his blood siblings. Leia behaves like a typical prince, while Marion exudes grace and manners. Leia becomes irritated when Gold greets him later than expected, but Marion reminds him not to act spoiled, showing her gentle nature. Leia recognizes Haruto as the level 2 scum adopted by Gold from an orphanage and challenges him to a duel to teach him some manners. The scene transitions to their impending duel, with Leia assuring Haruto that he won't go all out on him, making it an exciting and lighthearted moment. In this enchanting world filled with magic, sibling dynamics, and thrilling adventures, Haruto's journey continues with the unwavering support of loved ones like Charlotte and Gold. Together, they face challenges, discover their true potentials, and strive to bring justice to their wondrous world. Haruto carefully examines Leia's level, discovering that it's an impressive 9 with a maximum of 40. He then assesses the levels of those around him. Without warning, Leia attacks Haruto, who skillfully dodges the blows. Leia urges him not to avoid the attacks, goading him to fight back. Not backing down, Haruto uses self-augmentation, ceasing his dodging and allowing Leia to land blows on him. Marion is astonished, suspecting that Haruto must be using advanced augmentation magic to move so swiftly. Gold is unsure himself but accepts Haruto's claim of not knowing. Leia attempts to use fire magic on Haruto, but to his surprise, Haruto's barrier absorbs the magic. Unfazed, Leia tries repeatedly, but each time, his magic is absorbed. Marion chastises Leia for making a fool of himself, questioning how Haruto can accomplish this with just a level 2 ranking. Confidently, Haruto reveals that the barrier absorption is his magic. Leia, still skeptical, believes a level 2 like Haruto shouldn't be capable of using such advanced magic. Haruto nonchalantly mentions that he can return the fireballs if Leia desires, leaving Leia to concede defeat upon witnessing Haruto's astounding abilities. In this world of magical battles and sibling rivalries, Haruto's hidden talents leave even the high-level fighters surprised and intrigued. As the story unfolds, Haruto's true potential and the mysteries surrounding his magic promise thrilling adventures and captivating revelations. As Haruto returns to his room, he finds Marion apologizing for her brother's behavior. Haruto brushes it off, saying it's fine, and surprisingly, he feels the need to apologize himself. Marion questions if Haruto truly has a level 2, to which he confirms its authenticity before leaving. Later on, Haruto becomes aware that even the royal capital knows about his level 2 status. His thoughts drift to his birth parents, wondering if they are searching for him. However, a deep-rooted belief that they abandoned him prevents him from anticipating any efforts on their part to find him. Charlotte mentions that she's found some people who appear suspicious. Haruto explains that Charlotte has developed a liking for these patrols, and as a result, he's been very busy with them. Flay arrives and hears that Haruto has been going on solo missions. She asks to join him on these missions, which surprises Haruto. He thinks that Flay's involvement might complicate things. Haruto remarks that Flay was supposed to be occupied with other tasks. Flay explains that she's finished her yard work and monster subjugation quests for the day. Charlotte wonders if Flay is going to team up with her brother, likening it to the hero's partner coming to the rescue in stories. Haruto believes this might become troublesome and advises Flay not to use excessive violence while Charlotte is watching. Flay agrees. The scene shifts to Haruto confronting the thieves, and he introduces himself as the Black Knight. Flay also confronts the thieves and introduces herself as the Crimson Knight. She attempts to incinerate the thieves, but Haruto intervenes, reminding her not to resort to excessive violence. Flay ignores his advice. Haruto uses his barrier to stop Flay, leaving her puzzled about why her attacks aren't working. In response, Flay tries an even more powerful attack, prompting Haruto to rebuke her and emphasize his warning about avoiding graphic violence. Flay insists that she remembers, but anyone who hinders her master becomes her enemy. She attempts to burn the thieves again, but Haruto instructs her to step back, stating that she has done enough and he will finish them off. Charlotte praises both Haruto and Flay, likening it to watching a captivating performance. Flay mentions that something hindered her during her attack, preventing her from using her full power, but she promises to do better next time. Haruto contemplates how seeing Charlotte so happy makes him want to continue working with Flay, even though he initially had reservations. He wonders when he will be able to live a peaceful life as a recluse. The scene then shifts to Leia, who is upset about losing to Haruto. He questions how he, the progeny of the Flash Princess, lost to a level 2 individual. The prince's butler enters the room and informs him that it's time for a banquet. The butler suggests inviting Lady Charlotte on the tour tomorrow, and the prince reluctantly agrees after some hesitation. The scene shifts to Charlotte and the Haruto clone returning from the banquet, and they bring some food for Haruto. Haruto notices that his clone looks worn out. The clone expresses his displeasure about Haruto sending him to the banquet, feeling that it wasn't fair, considering they are the same person. Haruto admits that he wouldn't have been able to handle it himself. The clone Haruto mentions that he's tired of doing things Haruto doesn't want to do. Charlotte expresses concern for the clone, assuring him that she will be there with him during the tour. Haruto wonders why Charlotte is going, and she explains that the prince invited her to join. Haruto decides that he will go with Charlotte tomorrow instead of sending his clone. Later that night, he thinks it's a good idea to check out the route since Charlotte is coming along. He notices some suspicious mages along the route who appear to be trying to summon something. Haruto decides to investigate and approaches the mages, asking them what they are doing. The mages are surprised to see him and Haruto advises them to seek approval from Margrave Gold before proceeding with their actions. The mages mistake Haruto for one of Margrave's men and try to attack him. However, Haruto easily defeats them. One of the mages uses a magic circle to summon some skeletons. Haruto tries to slash them with a sword, but the skeletons quickly get back up. The skeletons attempt to restrain Haruto, but he uses his barrier to send them flying. However, they keep getting up, and Haruto feels frustrated. Then, he notices red crystals on the skeletons, and they suddenly turn around and start attacking the mages. The confused mages summon a golem to attack Haruto. The golem manages to break his barrier, and Haruto realizes that it's a formidable opponent. He spots a crystal on the golem's chest as well. Haruto attacks the crystal with a stake barrier, causing the golem to turn against the mages. The mages are puzzled by why it's attacking them, and Haruto takes responsibility, explaining that his actions somehow altered the golem's magic. Haruto inquires about the mage's leader, and the scene shifts to the skeleton soldiers restraining the mages. Haruto asks the leader for their name and affiliation, but the leader remains silent. Haruto instructs the skeletons to bury the mages alive but gives the leader a choice, either face this fate or tell him the truth. The leader pleads not to be buried and reveals that they belong to the Queen Consort's personal summoner unit. They were planning to attack the party for the farmland tour tomorrow. Haruto asks about their goal, and the leader explains it's to assassinate Charlotte's and Fi's. Haruto is puzzled about why the Queen Consort would want to kill Charlotte. The leader clarifies that the Queen Consort fears Charlotte's magical potential surpassing the Queen's own. This could lead to the kingdom splitting in two, especially since Charlotte has the support of the Margraves. The leader reveals that they had previously used Imperial soldiers for this task, but they failed twice. Hence, the Queen sent her personal unit on this mission. Haruto is shocked to realize that all those previous attacks were orchestrated by the Queen, just as she had abandoned him. He believes that the Queen is willing to do anything to protect her status and vows to make her pay for her actions. His anger resonates with the goal, causing it to attack the leader. Haruto intervenes and stops the golem. He declares that he won't allow anyone to harm the people he loves, even if that person is his biological mother. Haruto contemplates his next steps. The scene shifts to Ruto and the others on a carriage for their trip. Charlotte advises Leia not to be upset about losing to her brother. She explains that Leia never really had a chance, and he should take pride in challenging his brother to a duel. Marion reassures Leia that there's no shame in losing, and Haruto suggests they leave it at that. Leia asks Haruto how he managed to defeat him since it wasn't magic. Haruto explains that he can enhance himself by instructing his body to become stronger. The royals are surprised, and Haruto reflects that his parents seem to accept this explanation. Leia wonders if Haruto might be a returned demon, as nothing else makes sense. Haruto is curious about what a returned demon is. Charlotte clarifies that when a demon marries a human, their descendants can occasionally exhibit demonic traits, and they're known as returned demons. Marion points out that returned demons typically have extraordinary physical abilities. However, she doesn't see any horns on Haruto, and his eyes and ears look normal. Charlotte adds that his skin is smooth, joking that she can guarantee it since they bathe together. The royals are embarrassed by this revelation and tell Haruto to have some decency. Charlotte wonders if there's something wrong with her statement, and Marion explains that it's considered special when a man and a woman get undressed in front of each other. However, the carriage arrives at their destination, cutting off further discussion. The children notice a wheat field outside, and Haruto realizes that he has never seen one before. Charlotte approaches to get a closer look at something, and Haruto decides to talk to his father, Gold, about something important. Gold notes that Haruto doesn't often come to him with such requests and wonders what's going on. Haruto prefaces his question as entirely hypothetical and asks his father what he would do if the Queen were after Charlotte's life. Hearing this, Gold considers that Haruto might have sensed something unusual. He mentions that he received another letter from the Black Knight the previous night. Following the letter's instructions, he discovered that the Queen's hand-picked magicians were unconscious. Gold acknowledges that the Queen views him as an enemy, but he never expected her to target Charlotte. He explains that the Queen wants to eliminate them completely, but because she's the Queen, they can't retaliate. Haruto expresses his wish for a cruel queen like her to disappear, and Gold warns him to be careful about what he wishes for. He explains that without the Queen, the royal capital would be in chaos because King Joke lost his power long ago. Many nobles would vie for the throne, but the Queen's rule keeps them in check. Haruto wonders if the Queen's death could lead to a civil war, and Gold shares some history. 2 years before Haruto was born, an army led by the king was formed to defeat the Demon Lord. Among that army was Gaislot, who single-handedly defeated the Demon Lord and earned the title of the Flash Princess. She later married the king and, with the support of the masses, gained even more popularity. Now, the Flash Princess is attempting to seize control of the kingdom. Haruto is amazed by the Queen's significant influence, and Gold explains that things would be different if a powerful individual were to replace the Queen. He mentions that such a person exists but is currently too young. They'll have to wait until she grows up to become an adult. Haruto realizes that his father is referring to Charlotte. Gold describes Charlotte as someone with incredible abilities, even though she may not be aware of it herself. He believes that one day Charlotte will surpass the Flash Princess in magical power. Gold emphasizes to Haruto that he knows what is expected of him. Haruto agrees, understanding that he must protect Charlotte until she matures into a capable queen. Once he accomplishes that, he hopes to lead a peaceful life as a recluse. Later, Flay offers to bring the queen's head for Haruto, as she has slain his previous incarnation. However, Haruto insists that dealing with the queen is his personal responsibility, and he won't be satisfied until he takes her life with his own hands. Haruto believes that the queen will likely interfere in their affairs, and he is determined not to let her go unpunished. He thinks it's time for a mother-son reunion, hinting at a confrontation with the queen. The scene changes, and we see the queen questioning her guards about their failed mission. They explain that a person known as the Black Knight is thwarting thieves in the domain, and they believe he was responsible for defeating the summoner unit. They vow to seek revenge against him. The Flash Princess is frustrated with her guards' repeated failures. She worries that Charlotte Zenfas will grow up to be a threat to her. The Queen considers the Black Knight reckless for opposing her and contemplates taking matters into her own hands. The Black Knight challenges the Queen, taking out her guards. The Flash Princess is surprised at how he bypassed the barriers protecting her location. She attempts to trap him in a liquid prison, but he easily escapes. She attacks him with spells, but he remains unharmed. Confused and intrigued, the Flash Princess wonders about the Black Knight's true identity. In response, the Black Knight launches an attack, but the Queen defends herself with a barrier. The Black Knight keeps attacking the Flash Princess, and she continues defending herself. She worries that she will run out of mana, even more so than when facing the Demon King. Eventually, the princess exhausts her mana and resorts to attacking the Black Knight with her sword. They clash swords for a while, but the princess overpowers him. Confident in her swordsmanship, the princess claims to be the world's strongest. However, the Black Knight defeats her and places a collar around her neck. He warns her that the collar will explode if she tries to remove it forcibly. Confused and humiliated, the princess questions the knight's motives. He tells her he doesn't care about her schemes but demands that she stays away from Margrave Gold Zenfis, his family, and province. The collar will only come off when he sees fit to forgive her. The princess feels like a slave due to the collar. Meanwhile, Haruto leaves the castle, believing that his actions have brought temporary peace. However, he resolves to be less merciful if the situation arises again. The story jumps 5 years into the future, during winter in Haruto's home. Haruto believes he managed to intimidate the Flash Princess because she hasn't interfered in local matters. He's also approaching his 15th birthday and finds the harsh northern winter surprising. Charlotte shows Haruto a brooch made of snow, a transformation item from her anime interests. She also presents a snow castle she crafted, which Haruto finds impressive but somewhat useless. He notices that Charlotte's outfit isn't warm enough for the cold weather. Flay, dressed in the same outfit Haruto gave her, shivers from the cold. Haruto uses his magic to create warm winter clothes for her, reminding her to ask for help next time. Charlotte then reveals she has a special attack idea involving snow but can't execute it herself. She asks Haruto for help, and he reluctantly agrees, despite having a bad feeling about it. Charlotte whispers the attack details to Haruto, who uses his magic to launch an ice attack, creating a large hole in the ground. Charlotte is thrilled, and despite finding it embarrassing, Haruto is happy to make her smile. Their parents arrive and notice the large hole. Charlotte playfully suggests they might uncover Haruto's secret identity. To divert suspicion, Haruto uses his magic to create an illusion of the Black Knight and claims responsibility for the hole, saying he was just passing by and wanted to show off his special attack. Gold decides to leave it at that and asks if there have been any recent incidents. He says there haven't been any attacks on Charlotte since then, and rumors are circulating that the Queen, who hasn't appeared in public for years, is now wearing a slave collar. Haruto is relieved that things are finally quiet. Haruto tries to go back to his room to enjoy his shut-in life, but his father stops him. He informs Haruto that he'll be attending a school in the royal capital starting in the spring, despite his efforts to avoid it due to complicated reasons. This news surprises Haruto. Haruto really hates the idea of going to school, especially when he was so close to achieving his ideal shut-in lifestyle. He feels like he has no choice but to deal with the complicated factors forcing him into this situation. His father, Gold, explains that he can't refuse the school because he received a recommendation letter signed by the king himself. Gold thinks that Princess Marion may have played a role in this because the king likes to indulge his daughter's wishes. Haruto wonders why Marion wants him to go to this seemingly elite school, and he worries about how he'll survive there. Gold mentions that Prince Laius will also be attending the school and that the king hopes they'll become friends. Haruto can't believe his ideal shut-in life has been snatched away. Gold suggests that the queen might be influencing this decision through Marion, and she seems quite fixated on the princess. As a father, Gold encourages Haruto to see this as an opportunity to explore the world and meet new people. Haruto reluctantly agrees, knowing that refusing could cause problems for his father. Gold also mentions that Haruto can't take Flay as his attendant. Haruto knows that bringing Flay along would cause problems, so he agrees to consider other candidates for an attendant. However, he's uncomfortable dealing with strangers. His mother offers to accompany him, but he declines, thinking it wouldn't be right to take her. He believes he has 3 months to find someone else. Later, Haruto plans not to attend school easily. He asks his copy to go in his place, but the copy refuses. Haruto explains that he wants to get expelled based on a lack of magical ability, which would be less troublesome for his father. The copy suggests pretending to be incompetent, but Haruto still has his barrier magic and might use it if he encounters trouble. The copy is concerned about getting hurt, and Haruto reassures him that he can create another copy if needed. However, he's just joking and doesn't plan to let the copy get hurt. Charlotte wouldn't allow it. Haruto decides to use his barrier to protect the copy, who agrees, knowing he can't escape being Haruto's duplicate. The scene shifts to a log house by a lake. Haruto reveals that he spent the past 5 years building this place, and it's his ultimate hideaway where no one can disturb him. Here, he can enjoy his gaming console in peace. Charlotte and Flay join him to watch anime and do some cleaning. Charlotte mentions how great the latest episode was, which surprises Haruto because he thought Charlotte had lost interest in anime. She explains that she's been busy with lessons lately, and others have discouraged her from visiting her brother's room so frequently. Haruto realizes that people are trying to limit Charlotte's time with him. Charlotte also mentions that she relies on Flay's company to get this far since she can't come here without her. Haruto offers to teleport her using his magic, but he admits he's never tried teleporting a living person before. Flay suggests using Haruto's copy for the teleportation experiment. Haruto then creates a gate to his copy in the mansion. He asks his copy to walk through it, but the copy refuses, knowing that Haruto wants to use him as a test subject. Flay gets annoyed with the copy's behavior, so she goes through the gate and brings the copy back with her. Haruto considers the experiment a success and creates a gate for Charlotte to use whenever she wants to visit. He then remembers that he needs to find an attendant but decides there's no rush to do so. The story continues with Haruto playing games in his log house, and he suddenly remembers that he needs to find an attendant. When he mentions this to the others, they are surprised. Haruto quickly pretends like it's not a big deal and leaves the log house. Haruto can't believe he almost revealed his need for an attendant to them. He knows he has 3 months to find the perfect person for the job and wonders who it could be. Haruto ventures deep into the forest and arrives at a village inhabited by skeletons. The skeletons welcome him warmly and salute him. Haruto explains that these skeletons were summoned by summoners 5 years ago and started following him for some reason. He provided them with land, and they settled down. The village chief, named Johnny, and the commander of the Bone Army, thanks Haruto for coming. He mentions that Flay has gathered other monsters in the area, but they are all well behaved. Haruto is surprised to see that this village has expanded since his last visit. Johnny offers to give him a tour of the other districts, and Haruto is amazed that there's more to see. Johnny shows Haruto their fields, and other skeletons proudly display their harvest. They mention that they had trouble growing these crops last year but don't have to worry about food this winter. Haruto notices that the food the skeletons have grown is probably meant for the other monsters since skeletons can't eat. Johnny believes they can accommodate more monsters with all this food. Haruto is amazed by their selflessness. Johnny takes Haruto on a tour of the village, and Haruto is impressed by Johnny's calm demeanor, loyalty, and good manners. He even thinks that Johnny could look like a human if he had some flesh. Haruto believes he's found the perfect attendant in Johnny. However, Johnny starts talking a lot about his future plans for the village, and Haruto realizes Johnny talks too much. He doesn't want to listen to this every day. Haruto tries to leave, and Johnny wonders if something is bothering him. Haruto compliments how well everyone is doing, but Johnny modestly dismisses the praise. Haruto mentions he has other business to attend to and takes his leave. Haruto sits by a lake and reflects on how he wanted to relax in the monster-filled village but things didn't go as planned. A golem approaches him. Haruto remembers that this golem, Gigan, was also summoned by the summoners. Gigan gives him a flower with a blush and Haruto realizes she's female. Haruto explains that Gigan, despite her intimidating appearance, would make a great attendant because she never bothers him. However, he worries that she's always alone. He asks Gigan if she's happy in the village, and she expresses her love for him. Haruto returns to his log house, feeling frustrated that he can't find a suitable attendant. When Flay asks about the attendant, he decides not to choose her because of her father's request. The next day, Charlotte tells Haruto that she has chosen the name Shiva for the Black Knight, inspired by an internet search that describes Shiva as the deity of destruction and creation. Haruto feels sorry for influencing Charlotte in this way. The scene shifts to Flay showing Charlotte around the skeleton village, and Johnny explains that it's a place for those saved by Haruto. Charlotte is impressed and names it Pandemonium, which Johnny finds magnificent. The story shifts to adventurers battling a huge blizzard dragon. They believe they can get a good reward for defeating it. The dragon tries to escape but is hurt and triggers an avalanche that carries it away. Afterward, Gold informs Haruto about a blue dragon spotted near their border with the Empire. It flew from the Empire but crashed before reaching their kingdom's borders. Haruto suggests not worrying since it's not in their province, but Gold is concerned it might come back. Gold explains the dragon was probably hurt during a hunt in the Empire. If it goes on a rampage, it could harm many people. Gold wants Flay to investigate, but she refuses, saying she only follows Haruto's orders, not his. Haruto insists, and Flay reveals that a dragon this size couldn't have been born recently. She doesn't know of any blue dragons and believes it hid in the mountains, pretending not to know, while demons and humans were at war. She refuses to help such a cowardly creature, and Haruto senses this is a deep-seated issue for Flay. Haruto asks Gold to give them time to think. Gold emphasizes the urgency. Charlotte overhears and asks Flay to help the dragon, saying it must feel helpless. Haruto insists, and Flay agrees to help. Flay and the Black Knight search for the dragon near the border and find it. They also encounter adventurers trying to kill the dragon. Haruto intervenes, healing the dragon's wounds with magic. Flay tries to attack the adventurers, but Haruto protects them with a barrier. Haruto attempts to communicate with the dragon, but it freezes him with its breath attack. Flay warns the dragon to respect her master. The dragon communicates with Haruto telepathically, and he realizes this is how Flay initially spoke with it. The dragon questions why Flay serves a human. Flay spends an hour explaining her history and the Demon King's reincarnation. The dragon apologizes for not helping the demons during the war, as she dislikes fighting and had quietly lived in the mountains, hoping not to be noticed for 300 years. Haruto is curious about how the dragon spent her time. She tells him that initially, she stayed in a cave, but once an adventurer left a book behind, she started reading and got hooked. She ventured into towns to find more books and gain knowledge. However, adventurers eventually discovered her and forced her to leave her home. Flay feels sorry for the dragon and welcomes her into Pandemonium, which is the name Charlotte gave to the skeleton village. Haruto asks if the dragon wants to join them, and she happily agrees. She expresses gratitude for their earlier help and pledges loyalty to Haruto. Using magic, Dragon transforms into a girl. Haruto uses his barrier magic and dresses her up. He decides to avoid making the same mistake as before by not dressing her in a cat suit. The dragon is curious about the clothes Haruto gave her and wants to understand their purpose. Haruto introduces himself as Haruto, the son of the Margrave from a nearby province. He asks the dragon for her name, but she doesn't have one and asks him to give her a name. Haruto decides to name her Lisa, and she likes it. Flay reminds Lisa that she's the first demon to serve Haruto and tells her to remember the hierarchy. Haruto asks Lisa to come with him, and he's surprised to see that she can still fly in her human form, which is what he expected from a dragon. Flay decides to follow them on foot, not wanting to be outdone. Next day, Haruto introduces Lisa, the Blizzard Dragon, to everyone in his house and mentions that she wants to work there. His mother finds Lisa adorable, and Charlotte introduces herself in hopes they can get along. Gold, Haruto's father, has no problem with Lisa working there as long as she follows the castle rules. Next, Flay tells Lisa that she can't work there with a half-hearted attitude and decides to test her abilities. They start with cleaning outdoors, and Flay teaches her how to clean but accidentally breaks the broom. Flay makes excuses and advises her that's why she have to be more careful. Lisa then cleans the lawn, and turn out she's better at it than Flay. They move on to washing dishes, and every dish Flay washes ends up breaking, while Lisa excels at it. Cooking is next, and Flay burns the food, but the other maids teach Lisa, and she does exceptionally well. Everyone enjoys the food Lisa cooked, and Gold thinks it's quite good. Flay looks downcast. Natalia also appreciates Lisa's cooking. Lisa then helps Charlotte clean her face, and Natalia praises her progress, mentioning that she's heard from the other maids that Lisa is a quick learner. Lisa credits her progress to the excellent teaching she's received from everyone. Natalia inquires if Lisa has any other skills, and Lisa mentions her love for reading books, which has given her knowledge in magic and other subjects. Natalia suggests that Lisa become Charlotte's personal maid, and Lisa agrees, promising to do her best. The following day, Lisa wakes Charlotte up and helps her change. She proceeds to teach Charlotte magic, and Charlotte successfully casts a fire spell. Lisa uses textbooks to further educate her in magic and other topics. Charlotte proudly displays a large fireball she created to Haruto, impressing him. She attributes her progress to Lisa's teaching, and Lisa credits Charlotte's quick learning abilities. Haruto notices a floating water ball above Lisa and asks about it. Lisa explains that she's simultaneously doing laundry, which surprises Haruto. He wonders if she ever gets tired from doing so much at once. Lisa enjoys staying active and moving around, and Haruto apologizes for overloading her with work. Charlotte asks if Lisa feels it like a burden, but Lisa reassures her, expressing her enjoyment in serving Charlotte. Charlotte encourages Lisa to voice any concerns or dislikes, emphasizing her desire to be friends with Lisa. Lisa agrees, and they become friends. Haruto treasures the moment, thinking that Lisa is a well-behaved, earnest, quick learner who can adapt easily. He believes she's the perfect attendant he's been searching for. Haruto realizes he can't separate Lisa from Charlotte now that they've become friends. He remembers he can use teleportation magic to have her attend the academy with him and return to his house right afterward. Now he just needs to focus on his mission to get expelled. The scene shifts to Charlotte feeling down because her favorite anime has ended. She's lost in her thoughts, and Lisa reminds her that her break is almost over. Charlotte suggests they go back, and Haruto shares that he'll start attending school in the royal capital next week. Charlotte envisions an evil student council and magical battles, canceling her plans for the day. She asks Lisa to gather the group for an emergency meeting. The scene shifts to the roundtable meeting, and Charlotte emphasizes the importance of keeping these meetings confidential. She reveals that she's learned Haruto will start attending school in the royal capital next week. Flay is curious why Haruto didn't tell her first, and Charlotte assures her that she also just found out. She believes Haruto must have had a reason for sharing this information with certain people at specific times. Flay dismisses humans as insignificant. Flay starts to mention Haruto's identity as the Demon King, but Johnny reminds her not to reveal that secret. Charlotte is surprised that there are secrets about her big brother she doesn't know, and Flay explains that it's a demon secret. Johnny flatters Charlotte and downplays the significance of their secrets, confident that Haruto will share them with her eventually. Charlotte agrees and wonders why Haruto would willingly choose to go to school, recalling his description of it as a dangerous and scary place. Charlotte shares her theory about why Haruto might fear schools so much. She believes there's a hidden student council at school leading students down an evil path, engaging them in magic battles to crush their enemies. Behind it all, there could be an evil syndicate that could threaten the kingdom. Charlotte is confident that Haruto won't let them get away with this and might confront them as the Black Knight. Flay and Johnny agree with this theory. Charlotte sees this as a significant problem but trusts her brother to handle it effortlessly. She thinks Haruto might be planning to create a door in the capital for her, Flay, and Lisa to use to gather intelligence. She asks Johnny and Gigan to prepare for this by expanding Pandemonium. However, Lisa suggests discussing this plan with Haruto first. Charlotte encourages the Round Table members not to let Haruto fret over small matters. She reminds them that the Round Table exists to serve Haruto, and now is their time to take a stand. Later, Lisa tells Haruto everything she learned during the Round Table meeting. Haruto appreciates Lisa's honesty and believes things could have gotten out of hand if she hadn't told him. Lisa asks Haruto if he's fighting an evil syndicate, and Haruto wants to explain things without hurting her feelings. He tells Lisa that he's been working secretly and asks her to come with him to the capital as his attendant. He mentions that he'll provide more details later but that this mission is something only she can handle. Lisa agrees to take on the mission. Haruto now has an attendant and just needs to get expelled from the academy as soon as possible. Later, the maids take a break, and one of them shares her worries about her boyfriend who promised to marry her after returning from war but hasn't come back in 2 years. Flay advises her to cut off ties with someone who can't keep their word. The other maids also discuss their problems with people and decide to do the same. Later, Charlotte asks Flay about her different maid outfit. Flay explains that when Haruto told her to be a maid, none of the existing outfits in the mansion fit her. So, they had a custom maid outfit for her. Charlotte notices Lisa flying around and asks if she can't fly. Flay says she can but isn't fully used to it. Charlotte asks Flay to teach her how to fly. Flay demonstrates her flying skills, and Charlotte is amazed. Haruto, who was watching, thinks that what Flay did wasn't flying. Natalia arrives and tells Charlotte that she's too young to learn flight magic. Charlotte gets upset, and Flay goes to Haruto for a solution. Later, Charlotte is seen flying a plane, and Natalia wonders what it is. Charlotte then asks Flay to take a bath with her at the castle, but Flay declines. Instead, Flay cleans up by swimming in the lake. The group returns to the castle, where they encounter Lisa. Haruto asks Lisa how she spent her time when she was holed up in a cave. Lisa reveals that she mostly slept and read books, eating only once a week. Haruto thinks she's a true shut-in. Lisa asks Haruto about the Sin Play store, and he explains how he connected 2 barriers to make it work. Lisa finds it advanced and believes it's magic from another world. Later, the girls enjoy an open-air bath Haruto made. They invite Flay to join, and she eventually starts enjoying it a week later. Haruto checks the girls' levels and notices that Charlotte's maximum level is even higher than the Queen's. He believes she could reach her maximum level quickly with some training. However, Charlotte reveals that her mother placed a seal on her because she started using magic at a very young age, preventing her from reaching her full potential. When the girls ask Haruto about his level, he keeps it a secret. This brings an end to our episode 1 to 7. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel, Annie Explainer.